welcome back to Faith, Family, and Fun Reviews. If you're new here on this channel, I share with you delightful, family-friendly, and faith-based movies and television shows. So as you all can tell, we are back with another movie chat this evening. Yes, we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be talking about the film The Encounter. I have reviewed this film a while back. So yes, like I said, I only do movie chats on movies that I have already reviewed, so you all either have watched the film, watched the review, or something, so you know where I'm coming from. So we just chopping it up. Y'all know we just love to talk about movies here, all right? And go in a little bit of detail of like what really stood out to me, all that good stuff. You know how we do, okay? So we're gonna have a blast. But first, let me refresh your memory, all right? A little mini refreshing course here about this film. You can find it streaming right now on Great American Pamphlets, but here we go. Five strangers are in a deserted road. Well, five strangers are marooned in a deserted roadside diner and encounter a man who knows all of their secrets and can fix all of their problems if they trust in him. Now, friends, okay, I know like you got your different genres, right? Or different, like you got romance, comedy, action, all that kind of stuff. But the one thing that you don't really hear tied to like faith-based is horror. And that makes sense because God has not given us a spirit of fear. So you really, I definitely don't feel like that would be appropriate to have a so-called Christian horror. That don't even make sense. They don't even go together. However, I will say, to me, one of the scariest, to me personally, all right, one of the scariest films I would have to say would be this film. And let me tell you why, all right? Number one is like probably my favorite, I'm thinking number one, like seriously. And I don't really too much have favorites like that because I just, so many of them are my favorites, but because this film is just so powerful. And like I said, it puts that fear, that reverence for God kind of fear, that's what I mean, inside of you when you watch this film, especially if you're already on that journey. But even if you're not, and you kind of heard of God, that kind of deal, I feel like this is definitely that film for you that'll really be like, okay, it's time to get myself together. I got to get myself together, right? So yeah, this would be something that I would say, like, if you had to say horror, but of course I don't really agree with that. Y'all know what I'm saying, all right? This would be like right up there for me personally because this is like real life here, right? So here we have these five strangers at the beginning of this film. It is like, number one, the setting at the beginning, it's thundering, lightning, like a total storm is out. Y'all know what feel that gives you in the middle of the night, all right? And then on top of that, you are driving, okay? So we got these five strangers on the road going to wherever they going. They all got different destinations they trying to get to, don't know each other, none of that. However, there's one of them who was like trying to hitch a ride. I don't know where she coming from. Looked like she a runaway. Looked like she could be probably in her late teens or something. But she is trying to get a ride. Everybody is passing her by. The only person that really stopped for her is what is her name? Yeah, Melissa. Yeah, Melissa stopped for her. Melissa actually heard like this still quiet voice said pick her up, and she followed that voice and picked up Kayla here. So anyways, then they all get to like this roadside, they get to like almost like the end of the road, right? You got the cops there telling them that this road is blocked off for whatever reason. So basically they're gonna have to turn back around. But one of them it was Melissa, remembered that she passed the diner on the way there. She actually wanted to originally stop at the diner on her way up, you know, after she had picked up Kayla. It's like, let's get something to eat or whatever. But Kayla was like, no, let's just keep on going. So anyway, they all end up back at this diner titled Last Chance Diner. I mean, if there's a diner called a Last Chance Diner, I don't know if I would necessarily be like wanting to stop there. That just seemed like, okay, you're really spooky. Like, all right, what are you trying to say here? Last chance for what? All right. So all of them end up in the Last Chance Diner. All these strangers, different backgrounds, different ages, cultures, all of that kind of stuff. All right, and so the only worker that is at this diner, his name is Jesus. He got his name said is Jesus. Well, who was it? Yeah, Nick was talking about Jesus. And Jesus had to correct him. What you mean Jesus? Okay, stop. All right, you just trying. I just feel like he was trying to be funny in that moment. I mean, I know that there are certain people who has that name and it is, most is pronounced that way. But I just felt like he was trying to be funny in this moment. I really felt that way. But that's just how I feel. Okay, anyways. So right off the bat, like you could tell that they all have like different issues. Like number one, let me introduce y'all. Okay, so Melissa is the only one right off the bat that I felt like was like very, very sweet. You could tell like sweet natured, patient. Like you can tell she got a good heart. Just the fact that she stopped for Kayla, this total stranger. So right off the bat, that gives us as the viewers like, you know, there's something special about Melissa. Kayla looked like she running from something, running from somewhere, trying to go somewhere else, and probably gonna be running when she get to wherever she's trying to go. That's what she looked like. Okay, you trying to hitch a ride with strangers, you don't know none of these people and all of this stuff in the middle of the night. Girl, what's going on? What you running from? What is so that terrible that you had to get out of there right now in the middle of the night? So we know right there she got a backstory or something going on with her. So that is intriguing, you know, as the viewer. Then you got married couple, like Catherine. Yeah, Catherine and what's her name? Okay, I want to make sure I get these people right. Okay, it was Catherine and Hank. Yo, Catherine and Hank. All right. You get off right off the bat, you got Hank, because he originally wanted to stop for Kayla. Watch, you know, he really wanted to stop, and he ignored that voice, that still private voice inside of him telling him to stop for her. He just listened to his wife Catherine. Catherine seemed like she got something stuck up her butt. She got an attitude. She be acting stank and stuff like that. You can tell that she doesn't really have any respect for her husband. Like she don't even, like, just his presence alone just seems like it's turning her off, or it's bothering her, or something is going on inside her. You can tell she is one of them kind of people that just got her nose stuck up in the air and just got an attitude. And I just couldn't even understand how they could be even putting up with it. But he was doing it so patiently, so it was like, wow, you could tell this man really loved her, because she was just totally just being difficult for no reason, as far as what we can see. Of course, we don't really know if he probably did something prior to this time to her or whatever. We don't know, but just how he's behaving, like how patient he is with her, and he always has this look on his face, like this meek, humble look, almost like a timid look. Not that he's afraid of her, but he just like almost like he's walking on eggshells. That he just doesn't want to offend her. He don't want to make matters worse. He don't want to make situations worse with her. That's what I get from him. Like he's always trying to like an overthinker, thinking a step ahead just to protect himself, protect their relationship, and protect his wife. That's what we got from them. And then you got Nick. Nick seemed like he just has this look, and they did a good job with, I guess, makeup, casting, and all this kind of stuff. Nick looks like a person that's just on, like, about money, power, like that's his deal. Like he don't see you if you ain't a part of his world, if you don't have something to offer to the world. And by offering, I mean you got big money, you got businesses, you're part of big corporations, all that kind of stuff. You don't look like you about that kind of thing. Like you dressed in a suit and got the latest whatever that looks like something to people. He look like he don't even see you. Okay, he's that kind of person. Like you're not gonna even get his attention, and that is what he gave off just by looking at him. But even when he opened his mouth, y'all, he was very, very like that, like just very arrogant, feel like he's better than people. And that's how he carried himself. He just felt even almost offended that he had to be in this diner with these regular people, these people he would not otherwise even see if he was out shopping or doing his thing. Like he wouldn't even see these people. So we know that he owned his own, like, you know, business or whatever. Probably got the best burgers and the state, town, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Because even Nick had said he remembered him, like, oh, that name sounds familiar. I like his burgers, and he got the nerve to hand Nick a couple of coupons. Not that it was a bad thing, but it was just the way that he did it. Almost like, okay, yeah, I know my food is all good. I know it's good. Here, take this. Go about your business. You know, he had that going on. And so, like I said, back to the host, right? Host is Jesus, and Jesus, yes, it's our Jesus, okay, the one that knows all, the beginning, the end, all that kind of stuff. So apparently, like all of these strangers are ended up in this diner for a reason. Like apparently, I'm thinking right off the bat, because you're making that connection, last chance. So I'm like, is this their last chance? Last chance for what? Is something gonna happen to them, or something was supposed to happen to them? All these different things are like going through my mind as I'm thinking about this. But even though I felt like that was like the main reason, but it went deeper than that. I felt like yes, physically, I felt like this was their last chance physically. You may no longer be here. But I felt like it went deeper than that, like spiritually. Like he was really trying to make sure that they were going to be all right, thinking about their soul eternally. And so the conversations that Jesus is having with all of them is, number one, very, very interesting. It makes you think, and he does it in such a subtle way. It is not like he just coming at them, condemning them, or any of these type of things. He is really being a host at this diner. Like everything, like the way that he relates to like the word and food, all of this is like connected here. He is just not like going in for the drill, like just really just going in right away. You know, no, he is being a hostess. He is being a servant here to them, knowing everything about them and almost ushering them to opening up, telling him, like almost they're giving them that chance as they're communicating with him. He is only going as far as they want to go. And I thought that was so interesting. It just reminds me of how gentle our Heavenly Father is and how he approaches us, how he communicates with us on different levels individually. You know, you can't communicate with this child and, well, two people the exact same way when they're nothing alike. And I felt like he was very much so like that in every way. Like with Hank, who seems more like I said, just gentle, kind, meek, and patient, especially the way that he's like interacts with his wife. Jesus was very that way, very much so that way with Hank, almost letting him know it is okay to have your own opinion. It is okay to be a leader. It is okay, you know, to want what you want. You don't have to like want what somebody else want. Like for example, when he had came to Hank and Catherine asking him what would they like to order, and when Hank said that he wanted, you know, a burger, he was like, would you like some fries with that? No one Hank wanted some fries, but you could tell that his wife was probably more like a health nut and stuff like that, would never let him have these things, or probably down on him when he eats something, you know, that may not be the best thing in the world. But hey, you know, a lot of things ain't the best thing in the world as long as you ain't eating them like every day, all day. You can tell Hank ain't that kind of person. He's not doing that. But you don't even want to let him have like one little treat for himself. You know what I'm saying? And so when Jesus like, and then he looked at her when he said, you want some fries with that? He looked at his wife and she was like, hey, do whatever you want. Like she don't care, because she feels like well, basically got him all hyped up about they're gonna get a divorce and all that other kind of stuff. But of course he don't want it, you know. But then he looked at Jesus, was like, yes, that sounds good. Some fries. I'm like, hey, go ahead and order you some fries. Enjoy yourself, okay? Y'all in the middle of nowhere. It is thundering and lightning out there. It's a big old storm. Child, have you some French fries, okay? Have you some French fries. But one of the things that I thought was very, very interesting about Jesus, like when they wanted to order like a Diet Coke or anything else besides water, all he said is all he have is water. That's it. He don't have any other beverages. And they were like looking at him like he was crazy, you know what I'm saying? And I guess anybody would, you know, think about when you go to a diner or restaurant, you're not thinking that they ain't gonna have no Coke or, you know, a Pepsi or something, milkshake or something. But I did like when Melissa ordered her, like when she was like, okay, water's fine. And all of them end up accepting water, you know, because that's all, you gotta drink something, right? So when Melissa had ordered her water, and she tasted it, she was like, oh, like it was so refreshing. It was the best water. I was like, yes, it's some living waters. Oh, I want some water. That it just looked so cold and refreshing. It was like, I knew it was like the best water in the world, better than this stuff like we got. Okay, I know that thing was so good. I wanted some of that water. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite parts. And just thinking about, you know, relating that to, you know, the word of God, living waters and all of this stuff. So it's like everything, and I love that, because he is the bread of life. So it makes sense, like with them being in this diner, and he did, of course, he had bread there. And it was so good. And like they didn't have, it was like they all had more than enough. And I love that, because they didn't have to order from the menu. He told them basically that he would, and it's on him tonight. It's on you, for real. I gotta pay nothing. You got me, okay? And I love that he had made everything free, right? And he ordered them, well, he allowed them to order whatever they want. But he first told them exactly what they wanted. All of them was just surprised, because they looking at him like a regular human being. And you mean to tell me that you got everybody order on point, whatever they wanted. They all wanted something very, very different, and he knew exactly what they wanted. And I was just like, all of these different things to me, I felt like, y'all gotta know that this is Jesus. I just didn't understand. It was like literally all the way to the end of this film, y'all, that they really wasn't convinced. It really took, the only person who I felt like was probably convinced the fastest, that kind of knew way before anybody else or accepted it, was Hank. And it made sense because he seemed, out of all of them, like the most humble, meek, the way that he was dealing with his wife, patient, and all these different things. Like, I felt like he knew. You didn't really have to convince him otherwise. And it was the truth, y'all. Like, seriously. And I was like, wow, that was like so cool. But everybody else, I really didn't understand. I was really trying to wrap my mind around it, y'all, because I was trying to literally put myself in that situation. Okay, if I'm going to a diner, number one, Last Chance Diner, out in the middle of nowhere, I'm ended up here with all these other people I never met in my life, never knew none of this stuff. And we all here, and this host is sharing with us all these little nuggets that he's throwing out there, which will make you, it just has to. I don't care who you are. And all of them had different backgrounds. There were more who was more on that path, who were more believers or thought that they were than others. But I'm just like, he is just getting everything right. I mean, get your order right. Just the way that he spoke, the different things that he brought up from your past, that secrets that nobody knew. Y'all know nobody ain't knew this. You ain't shared this with nobody and none of these people before you got to this diner. And he is pointing out all of these things. So how could you not be convinced? But let me tell y'all something though. What it did remind me of is really like the times that we're living in now. It is like, how many times do God reveal himself? How many times does Jesus reveal himself in our everyday lives? And we would still try to chop it up to coincidence. We would still try to explain it away somehow. That's how Kayla was in this film too, especially at the very beginning. Young girl, like she was like, it got to be an explanation for all of this, like trying to find something, make some kind of connection and I'm just like, why is it so difficult for people to believe? Even after he's laying everything out there for them, laid out your past, let you know your future, because Melissa was on her way to being like to go meet up with her boyfriend so her boyfriend can propose to her. And I love how Jesus, like, and she was excited when, and because she asked Jesus, was like, he's gonna propose. He was like, yeah. She was like, you know, all happy and stuff, like, yeah, okay, like she knew it. And he was like, basically, don't get too excited, because, and he said, would you really want to marry a guy that you had to drive all of these miles just for him to propose to you? I mean, think about that. And it just reminded me of the world that we're living in, especially in the state of womanhood, women nowadays, the fact that many are so desperate and would believe, well, you're doing the most, like seriously, and thinking that is something. It's like, what happened to men being gentlemen? What happened to a man finds a wife, finds a good thing? What happened to these things instead of women are going all out of their way to almost like provide for men, give them whatever that they want, and almost like switching roles in a sense. That's what seems to be going on nowadays. And in this moment, that's what it reminded me of with Melissa. And Jesus had asked her that, do you really want to marry a man that will make you drive all of these miles just for him to propose to you? Like, seriously? And Jesus broke it down to her and was like, this is like, he has better for her. He even told her, like, he has better for her. Like, if you marry this man, like, he's not like stopping you in a sense, because it's still ultimately your choice. But he is like, if you marry this man, yeah, in the beginning, it is going to be fine, but he is going to resent you like a couple of years from now. Basically, he's going to be upset the fact that you have a relationship with me. That is going to get in the way. It's not only going to get in the way of me and your relationship, but even getting in the way of him even having a chance of even having a relationship with Christ. You know, that is just how wrong this relationship would be, especially if you take it that far as in marrying this guy. And she really had to think about that and process that. And I love that they had this moment, you know, yeah, they did have a moment, and she broke down, and Jesus was like, but I love him. And she kept saying that like over and over again, probably about 3 times, that she loved him. And it reminded me of like situations now, you know, that women stay in situations longer than what they should be staying in, because you think that you love somebody, or you think that that person loves you, or you feeling sorry for this person, or you're so desperate and you feel like you're never gonna get nothing better, that this is all that is left, this is all that God has for you. And I love that Jesus stopped her from making, let her know, revealed that to her, to give her the opportunity to not make the biggest mistake of her life. Like, it's like, slow down, have a relationship with God, focus on that, and if and when he's ready for you to have that, you will have that, but you will have the best. It won't be you driving in the middle of a storm on your way. Literally, she would have literally died on her way to so-called getting what she thought she wanted, because all of them were on their way up out of here. Like, seriously, I had to watch the movie over again because I kind of knew that that was the case, but I literally had to, I was like, let me watch it over again to make sure that that was actually the case here. And it actually was the case, which brings me to our question of this video. Was this their last chance? Like, seriously, all of these, you know, individuals, was this their last chance? Like, seriously. And it really was. Jesus told them that at practically almost the beginning of this film, and broke it down in so many different ways, because not only were they on their way out of here physically, like literally this would have been their last night here on earth had he not intervened and lured them, or drew them all to this last chance diner. But also spiritually, they all would have died in a state of not even really having a relationship with Christ, even though some of them felt like they did, but they really didn't. They really didn't, like, knew everything that they should have known and really made their life and live for him. None of them had at that moment. So he was also giving them that chance in that way. Like, even if you was to live a night after this, like, how would you live? He wanted to give them a chance to change their lives. Like, you had this one, like I said, Melissa, in a bad relationship, an ungodly relationship, equally yoked, which is so many people nowadays. And it's like crazy, because you don't be thinking about that. The people that you connected to or that you allow into your lives could really alter your lives. Like, seriously, could lure you away from Christ if this is not the right person, or the right friendships or associationships or business partnerships things. If you don't have all of that, if they all are not, you know, from God, you wasn't led by God to be associated with these things, can you imagine that this literally could be your last date, your last chance here on earth, just by being connected to these individuals? And so all of this was going on within this film. Like, seriously, everybody had their little different things. Nick, like I said, that was the one who was like uppity, rich, felt like money and power was everything. And even God had to bring it back to, like, Jesus had to bring it back to how he was raised. His grandma been praying for him, and that's why Jesus lured him to this diner, because he's like, because of the prayers of those who love you, your grandmother, you know, this is your chance. Especially, ooh, that was so spooky, y'all, when he was this old paper he was reading, right? Probably like 50 years ago or something. And Jesus asked him what was the most popular section in the newspaper. And somebody, Hank, was like sports. And they answered obituaries. And Jesus told him a story of a guy who sat in that same seat he was sitting in, reading the newspaper, reading obituaries, and he had no idea that he was going to be in there the very next day. And that is so crazy, because that is exactly what happened to Nick, y'all. Oh my goodness. He was the only one out of all of them that ended up, that was a prophecy right there. Like, that was, but at the same time, it was his choice still. And that is very, very interesting to me, y'all, because some people be like, okay, what it is gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, almost like you have no choice. Like, your destiny is your destiny. Like, you have no choice in the matter. Like, some people feel like, okay, once you are born, God already knows who is his, who's gonna go to hell, who's gonna be with him for eternity, and you literally have no say so in all of this. But this film kind of touch on that although in a sense that may be true, because Jesus knew before all of them came to that diner, he knew who was gonna choose death. He knew that. He knew who was going to choose life. But at the same time, you still had a choice. So yes, y'all. So to me, that is like one of the scariest things. Like, seriously, if you want to talk about horror or whatever, to me that is literally scariest thing, thinking about your last chance, and you never know when it's your last chance. And to know that Jesus could be literally reaching out to you right now, like seriously, right in this moment, this is your chance to get yourself together, to get on your knees, to do whatever you got to do, okay, to make sure you're on this right path, because you don't know. You just literally don't know when it's going to be your last chance, right? And so with all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the question. I know we revisit this again because I feel like I brought the question and here we are back up, we rounded again. Okay, anyways, yes. Was this their last chance? I'm going to have to say, with everything that I mentioned here, putting it all together, put the clues together, yes, this was their last chance. And y'all, I ain't gonna say no much. I ain't gonna say no more because I keep on going. I ain't gonna say no more. But we gonna go ahead and get into our scripture before I leave y'all for the evening, right? And once again, this film is titled The Encounter. You can find it streaming on Great American Pure Flix if you haven't watched it yet. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that, because it is something, y'all. It is something. Okay, coming out of Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. Fits this film perfectly, okay? I call heaven and earth as witnesses today against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants may live. That's all I have for y'all for this video. Thank y'all so much for joining me for another movie chat, and I will see y'all in the next video. Until next time, may the Lord bless and keep you both now and forevermore.